Okay. You can see the screen, the how we think slide. You can see that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Because I'm gonna talk about that slide out on the board here, but you guys have it. You can see it. I'm just recreating it. Hopefully, you can hear me. If you can't, let me know. I have to talk a little louder because I'm a little congested. Okay. So good to see you guys again. I had a 8-day, 7-night cruise. I'm still doing like this a little bit. It was long. It was fun, but it was long. With my family, my mom and dad came, my little niece. So it was long though. It was crazy. And I also want you guys to know this because I thought about you all obviously while I was away and vacationing a little bit, which I don't think I've taken a vacation in like maybe 6 or 7 years. Um, but the people on the cruise ship, they work. Like they work for real. So I want to acknowledge them today in our session because I think it's important for us to start understanding a little bit about what we're asking you all to do, kind of moving from where you are right now into this next phase of the process. So the cruise ship people sign a 7-month contract, and so they sign this contract, and what that means is that they work 7 days a week for 7 months, about 10 to 14 hours a day. Y'all want me to repeat that one more time? Okay. So the people on the cruise ship, the staff, they work 7 months, 7 days a week for between 10 and 14 hours a day. Y'all heard what I said? Like they're working. And we on there having a good time in the sun and going down the slides, and it's amazing. So these people are working this way because they realize that they gotta make it. There's a reason, there's a purpose behind them working and what they do. Many of the people, most of the cruise ships are international companies, so they hire international people. And so there are people from about 50 or so different countries on this boat working. And so I have an infinity, or affinity is the right word, for people who are from Kenya. My brothers and sisters from Kenya, I've been there a lot. I do mission work there. I think it's a great space. There's a child that I support who lives there. And so I'm able to speak about this much Kiswahili is what it's called, native language to them. And so I would find them on the boat. I'd say hello to them in their language, and they're like, "Oh, what? Oh, you know?" And then I'll speak back a whole bunch, and I'm like, "Yo, that's way too much," but I know about this much. But they're working, and we had a conversation with a gentleman, and he's letting me know. He's like, "Mr. Robert, I work for $21 an hour on this boat." I said, "Okay, I can just use 10 hours because I'm good with math that way." So roughly $21 an hour. You work 10 hours. That's $210 a day. For him, $210 a day from where he is from is about 3 to 4 months worth of work. Y'all see where I'm going? Sometimes we get in situations and we understand that. So for him, he's going to work those 7 days a week for 7 months, 10 to 14 hours a day. When we were chatting and talking, he said, I work one day for this guy, meaning a family, a group. I work another day for this family, a group. And he kind of worked about 3 or 4 days for other people. That's what he did. He sent that money to that group of people, takes care of about 8 people, $210 a day, takes care of about 8 people where he's from. It's totally crazy. So I was on the boat having vacation, but I'm also on the boat having a heavy heart too. That's just who I am. I'm asking questions, talking to people, recognizing that they're working, and they're like really working. Like, you know what I mean? They're not like, they're taking care of us spoiled people, right? Oh, give me another one of those mimosas. Oh, the water slide temperature. It's a little, you know how people do. You know how they are. The show, I want to get in the show and it's saying it's sold out. Look at me, American. So I want you guys to hear some of this so that you start to understand where I'm going. and why I'm going there. It's because we're all super fortunate. We're unbelievably blessed. To be honest, if we're poor in America, we're still literally about 1% of the wealthiest in the world. It's kind of crazy. There's none of you in here. I saw about 23 Americans on a staff of 2,600 people. 23 Americans. Because y'all ain't going to work like that. You know what I mean? What? Ain't no union? I don't get down. What you saying? You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting, but I want you guys to be thinking about it. The reason is this. It's because they all have events, things that have happened to them in their lives that occur. And I was on the same event. I was on the boat. We all were on the same cruise ship. And we all had different interpretations or thoughts about said event. Because we had different interpretations and thoughts, we had different emotions and reactions to the things that we were thinking. That impacted our performance, meaning their work or my enjoyment. I had a good time, but it was really hard. It was just hard for me and my family, what we do. So you guys see, like, you have events that happen, the interpretations of those events, they drive what we feel and what we do, our emotions and our reactions, and they impact our performance. So I think in Jersey, you guys did your mock pro day last week while I was on vacation, and you guys did yours, I'm hoping. Okay. Oh, this week. Oh, man, I'm right on time. Okay. So mock pro day happened. You got some numbers. They weren't very good, actually. I think I looked at them this morning. Interpretation of those thoughts, it drives our emotions and our reactions. And it's going to impact your performance, meaning the time that you have left, or today, or yesterday. It will. Now, it could impact it for better, or it can impact it for worse. You're in a process. If I took you out of the diamond mine today, you would still be a lump of coal. My job is to keep putting pressure on you so that way you can continue to get pressurized so that you can become a gem at the end. That's the whole idea of a process. Y'all tracking? Hopefully in Jersey, y'all are absolutely tracking. Okay, it's a process. So I want to kind of use today as an opportunity to talk through our event, but more importantly, the interpretations of said thoughts, how we actually think, because it's so important. If we think or if we interpret things appropriately, then we'll have better outcomes. So hopefully last week you guys were able to watch those 2 videos that I've made about confidence. Is that accurate? Y'all did that? And the greatest of all time was in there, my guy, Muhammad Ali, for lots of reasons. I could almost go Jackie Robinson or Jesse Owens in this conversation, but we won't dig in the I don't even know if y'all know them names. Hopefully you do. It's Black History Month. So the idea is this. Muhammad Ali was so creative that he used those words that you saw. We talked about P3 statements. He used effective thinking to help drive his performances. So if you kind of are tracking with how I'm teaching and what I'm sharing with you guys along the way, the week prior, we talked about making sure that the things that we say to ourselves are effective. Writing things on the whiteboard, changing our phone, getting extra lifts in before we leave. It's part of the thing, right? Because it's leading up to something. Part of it is leading up to your understanding. So if Muhammad Ali, in that video, the cool thing is talk about floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. That was a different fight. This particular fight, he was fighting against George Foreman. And so at that time, George Foreman was a true heavyweight. He was about 240 pounds. And Muhammad Ali was about 215, 220. What we play today is like a cruiserweight, like an Evander Holyfield, if y'all know who that is. So so there's some size differences. But I want you to work with me in how we think. And so last week, you heard this phrase from Muhammad Ali. It's like, I want to tussle with a what? Okay. Who's our biggest guy in the room? Come on, talk to me. Come on, I need you. All right. I'm getting audience participation. I really need the bigs. Come on. Oh. Yeah. You know, I wish I need to be in Jersey for this part. So, all right, you ready? Okay, come on over here. Come on over here. Don't be scared. All right, look who I have. I have a volunteer. All right, so if I got my big guy here and I'm tussling with the whale, right? I'm trying to hold on to the whale, and I'm tussling with the whale. The whale is doing. He's a big dude. All right, and he's an alligator, right? Well, how long are alligator arms? They're short. So George Foreman, if I'm getting up in here and I'm fighting George Foreman, that's a bad place to be. Right? So use these terms, these words to actually instruct him, to tell him what to do, to give him some information that would help him while he's fighting. It wasn't just stuff to talk junk to the opponent. It actually was stuff for Muhammad Ali, for himself, so that way he would remember what he needed to do. You track it? Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead. That's all I need. Nothing crazy. Okay, so this is the idea. We want to be able to do exactly what we're learning from people who have been successful throughout their careers. And so if we are thinking about our mock pro day, there's a lot of things at play. These guys just had theirs on Monday, so they're uniquely super fresh with the results and how they feel and all of those things. And so I saw the numbers too. So my question is this. Who wanted to run the fastest that they'll ever run on Monday? Who? Raise your hand. Be honest. Y'all silly. You don't want to run the fastest you've ever run on Monday. Why? That doesn't make sense. You ain't getting no back on Monday. We just growing through a process. Right? You don't want to sit on music because we just talking about it. I like it, man, too. So Adrian, if I said, man, you threw your best ball today, you want that?
I mean, personally, yeah.
Okay.
And then I want the next day to be better.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's how we interpret that best ball for today. So in a way, you could say to yourselves, you look at your numbers, you could say, well, maybe that was my best ball run for today. What? Might be slower, might be faster, but hopefully you're working through a process. Y'all do know I work with like crazy athletes all over the world, and it's ridiculousness. Like professional golfers. Y'all know anything about golf? Anybody? Okay. So a golf club has a little bit of a sweet spot, and if you're a real good professional golfer, the sweet spot is about actually as big as the circle here of this marker. So actually, it's probably about right. Okay, so for them, their best is it changes, it varies, it's different, but it's how we interpret it. So hopefully, what you're understanding is that during the mock pro day, I learned through the experiences that I had. I want you all to start learning how to interpret appropriately. I learned about myself and my experiences. I was working on something. You actually were doing a lot of thinking. When you were running and doing the drills, there's a lot of mental thinking, technical stuff that was happening, I hope. Right? I mean, you're kind of thinking about the things that you're supposed to be doing technique-wise. And so when you do that, just automatically, it's going to slow you down because your mind is thinking and you're trying to do. So at some point, those technical things will become natural, normal, super easy. You won't have to think about them anymore. One of the things when people talk to me and want my services is I always tell them this. The person that's out there running on the field, he's so funny. He's like, I appreciate you telling me to think about my thinking so I don't have to think about it. That's what I tell people. My job is to help you think about your thinking so that you don't have to think about it. It's a little something to think about right now. Because the idea is we want to be able to have the right type of interpretation about the events that actually occurred. You're in control of the things that you think or your interpretations of said things. That's you're in control of that. You have the most control there. The reason being is this is a little science heavy, but I want you to see it. It's the things that you think drive the way that you feel and what you do. It's not what you feel and what you do drive what you think. Then we would be robots. I can program you at this emotion, that reaction, I'll get this type of thought or interpretation. That's not how we operate. If I come and take your food and slap it in your face, you're going to be like, thanks, I appreciate that. What? You wouldn't do that. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you're like, this dude is crazy. There, other people would have interpretations of what's going on, right? Like, oh, you like that, bro? What? You know what I'm saying? You know how stuff happens, right? Because we have interpretations of said activity or event. So we have to understand this. Once you do, golden. Because if you want to have a certain level of emotion or a certain type of reaction when things are going on, that way you can have peak performance, you have to get in control of the things that you're thinking. It's a must. It's called maturity. So the reason why I started off with the cruise story is this. Well, we're all cruising. The people on the boat at work are cruising too. Right? Everybody on the boat, we're all cruising. We all are experiencing the exact same event. You all are experiencing the same event. You're in a training program for your pro day. You all want a certain type of job. It's an event. The mock pro day was an event. It was an event for the coaches. It was an event for you. It was an event for me that I knew was going on. And so we all have different thoughts about the event. Your job is to start asking yourselves, how do you want to think about the things that are occurring to you? Is this making sense? Hopefully this is hitting home. So the reason why this is important is because we get to use images to help us process information. So important. I'm going to flip this for them so that they get to the next thing. Jersey, y'all can see this? Okay. So what I shared with them is this. I put a new word in here. I'll put this word. Images. So we're going to do a little activity. It's going to take about 3 seconds or so, maybe 5. I'm going to ask you guys to close your eyes. I'm going to ask you to trust me. So I know some people, they're going to keep one eye open. I promise you I'm not going to do anything to you. I just want you to close your eyes for a minute. Everybody can do that. Jersey, Miami, let's do it. You're just going to close your eyes. And I want you to start thinking about, when I say the word house, I just want your mind to begin thinking about house. The word, place, the space, house. All right, we can open our eyes. All right, who's going to volunteer their house to me? When you close your eyes to think about a house, what did you think about? What you think about?
Buying my mother a house.
Oh, yeah, buying your mom a house. Okay, that's sweet. Let me get my order in too. I want one. Get me one. Okay, buy what kind? Okay. Did you have a place where you were buying the house at? Like a city? Did you have a city? No. Okay. So we had a place. We're buying a house. It's pretty cool. What else did we conjure up? Go ahead. Your childhood home. Did you go to your bedroom? Oh, so you actually saw the big thing. Wow, that's cool. Interesting. Anybody else want to share? Yeah.
Just somewhere to have like my kids at.
Okay. You envision that a little bit? You
Yeah.
saw that?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Anybody else? Yes.
I had a long driveway, a circle on top, had a water fountain in the middle. Backyard had a lake, had a nice man cave.
Oh, man. Why am I here with you and not at that house? What am I doing? Yeah. That's sweet, right? So you closed your eyes for a few minutes, you had all that stuff thinking about that. Ain't that crazy? Nobody in here, when you close your eyes and you thought about house, you didn't like spell the word HOUSE. Like none of y'all. Nobody did that? Okay. So after you actually thought of it. Interesting, right? So the reason why I do this exercise is because we think in images. That's how we think. So if I ask you to don't go there. Hey, don't go there. You know, y'all are kids at one point. Hey, you shouldn't do that. What's the first thing that we want to do? We want to go there, or we want to do it, or we're going to ask the question that all kids love to ask, and maybe you are asking, hopefully you are, why? Why, right? Because we want to know some information, because our minds actually don't really see or have images for the don'ts, shouldn'ts, no's, nots. It's pretty interesting. So we just kind of did this tell me what happens when I say. I'm going to share something with you guys in Jersey so you can see this. Okay. When we use pictures to help us see or interpret things, they resonate or they become a little bit more realistic. So the DBs, I was listening to Coach, and he mentioned something to you all to kind of help you with some imagery. Do you know what he said? Do you remember? He equated your energy level to something. Battery. And then he mentioned there was a color to the battery. Yellow. Right. So he provided you with a visual so that you could understand what he was talking about, and so that it sticks with you. So when you're thinking about your energy level, you now have an image that's attached to that kind of conversation. Much like what we're doing here. We have interpretations or thoughts. If we have images around those things, then become stronger emotions and stronger reactions, and we have better performances. Okay? So, let me explain this to you guys in a football way. Okay. So Jersey, what I wrote on the board for them is I want you guys to be thinking about, I'm actually going to back up these slides so that you all can kind of be on the same place. So in that green bubble, you see the word images. I also wrote on the board for them football terms like such. Film study, playbook. Y'all tracking now? Okay. What is film study used for? Why do we do this? Why is this a big deal? So you can do what with your, you can visualize, you can start to see things, learn. Old school, we had playbooks. Now you guys have pads, basically. Some of us learn okay that way, but if you're not that kind of learner, then you have to take your digital playbook and actually turn it into a manual playbook, essentially. Some of us are really good at walking through plays, versus reading about the play on a little screen and like I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing. It's like crazy happening right now. So you have to start learning how you best learn. The reason why this works, and it's so funny that the DB coach mentioned this, is because the greatest athletes in your respective positions, they're really good at this. Studying film, looking at images, going through a playbook. So I get to brag on myself for about this long, just real quick. So I played sports. Many of you know that. I actually played high school football and basketball and soccer, and I ran track. I actually did 4 sports. It was amazing. I got 4 varsity letters. So I used to be athletic a long time ago. Then I went off to play college football. But one thing that I recognized early on was this. If I watched enough film, then I'm good, like really good. Like I'll make crazy plays. I didn't know this until later on, but I watched a ton of film, especially in high school. Y'all, in high school, it's like the quarterback doesn't know what to do other than whatever the coach said to do, right? You might remember that. I don't know when you started playing. Did you play varsity quarterback right away? Sophomore year. So especially that year, you probably were like, okay, I'm supposed to run this play. I'm going to throw it to this guy. Okay, I throw it to that guy. That guy is wide open. Well, I see him, but I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to go here. That kind of thinking. Because we don't have that freedom. And so in high school, I use this information to kind of figure out what people are doing. And people tell you. It doesn't change in the league. It becomes more sophisticated, but you also are more sophisticated too. And these things don't change. When I'm watching a football game with my kids, I'm like, oh, that's going to be an inside run. He's probably going to be over the A gap. And my kid looked at me like, huh? How you know that? Oh, then it happens. And they're like, what? This is just old habits, right? They die hard. So, but it's because I know the images. I'm paying attention. But it's also because of hours and hours and hours of film, study, playbook, reading, creating these things for yourselves. You all have video of running and doing drones and all these things. You guys have all the technology at your dispense. So you have plenty of time, like those people that are working on the cruise ship. Okay, maybe not. To watch a lot of film, to look at a lot of things, to pay attention to what's going on. Now, the cool thing is this. This is your film review time. Y'all all getting this? This individual time? I'm just asking because I'm new, right, kind of thing. So I'm Jay. I already watched my film. How come I can't come during, Thyric's time and watch Thyric's film with Thyric? I'm just asking. Is that illegal? Is that against the rules? Does Thyric not like it? You up in my business? I don't know. I'm just asking. But what I'm saying to you is I want to be able to learn from like everybody in a way so that I can then ultimately get more reps. That's so important. You got to maximize your time and the things that you have, right, at your disposal. Using imagery does that. It absolutely gives you more reps, more opportunities, more. And that's what you guys need, more, because we're asking you to do things that you've never done before or that you did a little bit of or that you learned and now we're asking you maybe change something. In order to do it really well, you have to do it a lot. And so there's this old school thinking of you have to have 10,000 hours of doing something before you're an expert. It's not all the way true because you could do something in 1,000 hours the right way every time and you're going to be an expert. So there's lots of studies on teaching people piano, guitar, all these different violin, but they teach it to them for 20 minutes the right way. That's all we get. No mistakes. And off we go. You repeatedly do the right thing over and over again. Boom. Look at how much faster you learn. So using that film study, images, playbook, thing, the way that we can get better faster is to be able to use imagery to our as a new tool, as an extra thing that we get. It's like free and available. So if you don't have like 40 stars, whatever these things are that you need on your phone, and you're not watching these things, if you're not looking at plays and trying to figure out defenses and schemes, if you're not spending the extra time that is available to you, then you're missing out. So I really want to make sure that based on today that you guys understand that you have limited amount of time left here, a limited amount of time when you leave. These jobs don't come back around too often, right? So we have to make sure that we're understanding stuff is going to happen. We're going to have interpretations about the things that happen, our thoughts. If we kind of start using images, field study, and playbooks in our thinking, we start creating images, because our brains love images, then we can have the right level of emotion, the right level of reactions, and ultimately, we'll be able to perform at a high level. Does everybody make sense? Okay? So, who in here played, who wrestled? Anybody was a wrestler? Okay, can you come see me? Come on. When you wrestled in high school? And when, oh yeah, you are so perfect for this. Amazing. Our big guys in Jersey, I know y'all, some of y'all are wrestlers. Let's check the technique. Right, yeah. Okay, we're gonna blow this up too. Hey, say what up? Okay. All right. So I want you to just take me back to wrestling. I'm assuming you wrestled. So it's good. So what is an could you teach me an easy wrestling hold or move that was like amazing for you in your like high school or college? I don't want to do all that, but just teach me something. What was like the first thing you did?
On the feet.
Yeah, on your feet. We should do something. Okay. Stay like that. Stay like that. Stay like that. Stay like that. Okay. So if I stay like that. So if I were to take a picture, all right, y'all checking. He's in his stance. Okay. So if I were to take a picture of this and give it to your old wrestling coach, what would he be looking at?
Make sure I'm not leaning too far one way or another.
Okay, and you think he would even be able to see that on a film or video? Or,
Yeah.
wow, what would he be paying attention?
Make sure my head's not down.
Oh my goodness. Y'all see what just happened? I love this stuff. Okay, because there's certain technical things that when you're a trained eye, you see it. You see what I'm saying? I had to do something that you haven't done in a long time. But there's something to be said about having done that a lot. And then if I were to send it to an expert, they would be able to look at it and say, you need a little more work. You are your own experts a lot of the times. Because you're kind of on your own kind of right now. So you have to be able to take these film review days, Robert time, Lauren time, Kevin time, whatever time, and really begin to get the right types of images so that you can begin to do the things that you're doing. Okay? Stay right there. Adrian, come here. Okay. I met Adrian this morning. Small, isn't he? Adrian is a quarterback, right? Everybody tracking. He's trying to work on something. You remember what you're working on?
Yeah.
So I was sitting down working. You were talking about it. I gave you something. What did I give you to remember what you have to do?
You talked about baseball player when you're hitting, and for me, that's to do with my front shoulder. So I want to keep my front shoulder closed. And baseball, I played baseball in high school. And when you get the pitch, when do you really open that shoulder? That's like right when you're about to hit the ball. Even when you're hitting, you hit the ball, you keep that front shoulder closed. For me, saying
So because I asked him one question, maybe led to two. You said I played baseball. Oh, and that's what you're working on? It's crazy. But and now you have that's the picture.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to think about baseball while throwing. It's gonna be amazing. Because now I'm gonna actually have you thinking about baseball and not these other mechanical things.
Yeah.
And that ball is just gonna be. It's gonna be crazy. I know. And it's crazy. Right. Right. You know what I mean? Getting in our stance and all these things. But this is how powerful imagery is. Thank you guys. Okay? All right. Cheers, cheers, cheers. All right. That's how we do it. Okay. So Jersey, one of the things that we have to continue to work through is figuring out what are the right images for us. Paying attention to them, using them, working on them. If you're doing a drill and you want to video it, y'all have y'all phones. Let's go video it. Come on. What you wasting your time on, right? Like, do that. It's okay. If you need to do it with a coach before they leave, do that before they leave. That's called utilizing your resources. Everybody tracking this? Okay. So Jersey, I'm a cut y'all loose. Y'all got to get to getting, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Not next week, but the following week, I believe. So I appreciate y'all. And if you have some questions, which I know some of you do, just send me a message. Thank you. I don't know if Joe's in there, but I'll talk to you guys.
He just stepped out. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Why are you shaking your head?